And welcome to Benchmonster TV.
I'm Ashley Lynn Condre.
I am the Benchmonster, and how is everybody this evening?
Thank you for joining us so much this evening. That intro was a little off. You kind of effed it up.
I know. Well, I'm excited.
Not to call it out or anything.
I just want to let everybody know real quick that we have an awesome guest tonight,
We're
Doug
very
Smithey.
excited. Doug Smithey was kind enough to join us this week. Very excited to get to see him and pick his brain here and ask him a bunch of questions and kind of get to know him here. Very excited.
Yeah, very down-to-earth guy. I wish I could train with him. I wish he could train with me. That's the type of guy I would want on my team. I'm going to do a little intro here. I have some videos of Doug, as we normally do with our guests. Shows him benching 1075, 1100, and a 545 raw. I got a little intro here that Doug sent me that I'm going to read, and then we'll bring Doug on, and we will ask him questions. You guys know how it rolls on Benchmonster TV. So we'll start out with the video here. Doug Smithey. He's 47 years old, served the military 10 years, pours concrete, and has for 18 years, has lifted and competed for 17 years, started competing with IPA in 2009, in equipment in Hickory, North Carolina, with Gene Richlack and Sean Frankel. That's where Sean changed his life forever. Doug asked Sean, "Aren't you worried about your spotters not catching the weight?" He said, "If you are scared of it, you just need to fucking quit." I love that. Doug says it changed his life forever. Now, Doug says, "I just ride the bull," meaning no matter how small or how big, I just do my job. And ever since, I always come out on top with first place and best lifter. I currently have broken 38 world records and hold 2 world records in the Masters 2 all around and open division in the 275-pound weight class, benching 1,100.2 pounds, and which is the lightest man to ever bench 1,100 pounds. And my Doug intro is gone. Let's bring on Doug Smithey.
Very impressive.
Doug, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, good. How is it?
Pleasure having you, man. Very
Yes, sir,
excited.
man.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're very excited. Super glad you could be here.
Nice meeting you. We talked on the phone and kind of impersonal. Now I see you, so here we can handshake and all that stuff. But yeah, good having you, Doug.
So happy that
Yes,
you're
man.
here.
I'm just glad to be here. Fortunate.
Yeah.
Very
We
fortunate.
appreciate having you.
Yeah, we want to get
Giving
started
us
quick
your
because
time
we have a
here.
lot of questions and you're 3 hours ahead of us, and
God,
I don't want to keep you up super
already
late.
late.
So
Okay.
let's roll with the questions
We'll
that the
start
Benchmonster
cruising.
TV has.
we won't waste any time
Yeah.
here. We'll get right in these questions. So when and how did you get into weightlifting in general? And how did you get introduced into powerlifting?
Well, I guess when it started when I was in high school, we used to sneak off into the gym during lunchtime, and the coach would actually let us sneak off, and we'd go to the weight room, and me and Kevin Huffman would sneak down and train for an hour. Plus, we had gym time too, so I know that was an extra hour a day that I had to go to the gym, and I actually had a friend of mine, Richard Wilfong. He'd come get me when I was 12 years old, pick me up. He was like, "Hey, man, I'm going to take you to the gym." And this dude was a freak, man. He was probably one of the first starting points of my life as far as looking at a big, huge dude. And it's like, that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Nice.
And we worked out in a basement of a dude's gym, and we ended up just, here I was, 14-year-old benching 315, and I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And we ended up moving on, and I ended up going into the military and got out of the weightlifting part of it, and spent some time in there, and I got back out and kind of faded off from that and started doing the running thing and the push-ups and the sit-ups and the cardio kind of thing, and finally found my way back into the gym when I was 27, and my daughter just had got born, and got back in there and started training just for myself. And I actually run into a friend of mine, Davin Adams, and he was like, "Man, we're competing. We're doing this state and local thing, and it's regional. You interested in doing it?" And I'm like, "Man, I ain't ready for no competition by no means, And so I started training with these guys, and Davin Adams, man, this dude is huge. He's a 605 bencher all day long.
Whoa.
He's just a monster.
Jeez.
And I've seen him do 635 like it wasn't nothing. And I'm like, dude, this is so what I want to do. And so Davin introduced me into the setup and the way you needed to really bench and to get underneath a bar and how to really fire yourself up. And so I started training with these guys and went to a meeting in Mocksville, North Carolina, and ended up signing up for this thing. And I was like, man, I am nowhere near ready for a meet. And got in there with those guys and actually broke the state record by 20 pounds that day with my first lift. So
Way to go.
it was only like 375 or 385, but it was a starting point for me, you know. And so it got me fired up a little bit, and I started competing a little bit more often, state and regional kind of stuff. I ended up getting about 38, 39 state and regional records during that time. And I met Mark Holbrook, and me and Mark, it was like we were two twins born out of the same cloth, you know. And it's just like he had competed in a world sanctioned events and in the IPA, and he's like, dude, you got to get over here in the world. You're not going to go nowhere where you're at in the state and regional stuff. And so we went to Gene Ritzlack's meet over in Hickory, North Carolina. It was an IPA meet he put on. And Gene comes in, got the mohawk with a big green mohawk. You know how Gene is. And I'm like, this dude is freaking huge, you know. And so that's when I met Sean, and he had told me what he said, and I was like, and I bit 635 that day, first time in a shirt in equipment, and I was like, man, I thought that was just something at the time, you know. I was like, man, I got 635, and so I talked to Gene that day, and I'd always worried about my spotters not catching that heavy weight when you're warming up. We was doing boards back then, you know how it is. You put the boards on, and you put 600, 700, 800 pounds on there, and you're board benching, and always in the back of your mind when you first get started, it's like, man, I might dump this. I might get it on my face, or I might get it on my gut. Or I always had that in the back of my mind. And when Sean told me that, he was like, man, if you're worried about that, you just need to fucking quit.
Really?
Man, I'm telling you, it dramatically changed my whole dynamics of thinking about benching. I'm like, if this is what you want to do, Doug, you need to quit thinking about anything else and just do your job. And that's where Ride the Bull came from. Is, you know, it don't matter how big or how small that bull is. At the end of the day, if you do your job, you accomplish what you set out to do, no matter how big or little it is. So when you get underneath the bar, it don't matter if it's 1,000 pounds or 300 pounds or whatever. As long as you do your job and you do it at a perfected amount, then you accomplish what you set out to do. And that's been my whole thought process through this whole thing. And I just keep carrying that on, and you know, it just kept getting better and better and better as I progressed. I went back to the gym the next workout day, and we got in there, and Tim Higgins is probably one of the best gurus. He's the Yoda of powerlifting. and I got with him, and me and him and Mark were training together, and he's like, you know, you need to go to a bigger meet. So we started going to York, PA, and competing up at York. And I started competing with all the big names, West Side and Big Iron Jim and Jeff McVicker. And I got to meet Jeff up there, and Jeff comes up to me. He's like, dude, he's like, you're a monster. And he's like, you know, I've seen your videos and stuff. And he's like, I want you to compete with Metal Militia. And I'm like, well, sure. You know, I don't mind. So every time I went up there, I was always, you know, biggest lift of the day and best lifter and all that stuff. And what was funny is later on down the line, I wanted to compete against Scott Mendelson and David Hoff. Well, I always missed them. I was always not there when they were there.
Damn.
And I found one day they were going to be up there, and I was like, damn it, I'm not missing this meet. I'd done competed 2 weeks prior to that. And I was like, shit on it, I'm going up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took my dad with me, and we went up there, and I competed against them, and they ended up going way heavy that day and bombed out. And I beat them with like a 780 bench, and I was like, hell yeah, I beat Scott Mendelson and David Hoff today.
You did.
It's like a basketball game. I don't give a damn how I got it. I got it.
Those are some bragging rights.
So, you know, and I'll take it any way I could get it at the time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
And I've been chasing that forever, just trying to get that 805. And it took me years, man. And you know, I come out of it, and I just I got out of it for a while because I got disgusted and discouraged. You know how it goes. You're the same. You've been there, and you get discouraged with the weight. And you just can't get past that point, and it's just like, shit, I'm just gonna quit. And so I got out for a little while, and then I finally got back into it, and here I am. But I'll let y'all talk now. I know I'm
real quick, Doug.
No, this is your show, man.
What shirt did you wear when you benched 800?
It was Overkill.
Overkill. Okay.
Yeah, by Rudy Rosales. I was on actually with Rudy at the Arnold back in 2012, and I was blessed enough to be with Joe Mazza and all those guys. Man, it was a great time. And the problem is Gene had his rickety old little thing there, his bench, and it always looked like it was going to fall apart because he hauled it everywhere across the country, everywhere he went, and there was 42 of us that day, and I think 41 of us bombed out that day.
Oh.
Yeah. And we was having one big day, man. I'm telling you, we fought and fought and fought. It was one of those days that just wasn't happening for nobody.
That happens.
That happens, yeah.
I know, but it's just one of them things. You just have to pick it up and do better.
Right. No, for sure. Wow, though. Okay. When was your first meet, and how much did you lift? That's our next question.
Yeah, I guess my first meet, my first equip meet was at Morganton when I benched with Gene Richlack, or Hickory when I benched with Gene Richlack, and that's when I done 635, and I was happy about it. I mean, it was way more weight than I've ever handled in my entire existence, and I thought that was just huge at the time. I mean, that was when Ryan was in his prime, hammering down weight, and I was watching Ryan do what he was doing. It was like, that's where I want to be, and but and here I am.
Yeah, here you are.
What year was that, Doug? Do you remember?
Destroying it.
That was maybe 2008.
Yeah.
9.
Yep.
Somewhere around in there.
I was rocking and rolling 7 and 8.
I know. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. How long have you been competing, and what major competitions have you competed in?
I have been in the competition part. I've been lifting for 17 years, but I've been competing for officially about 12 years now.
Wow.
Okay.
12 to 13 years. And I started, like I say, state and regional kind of stuff, and it just wasn't getting me the fulfillment that I wanted because I didn't have no competition.
Right.
And then you have to step up to the plate and go where it's at.
Right.
And that's when I went.
Yeah.
I went to the IPA, and I swear Fred Fisher, he puts on some of the nicest, and him and Mark Chalet and Ellen Chalet, they put on some of the nicest meets I've ever been to in my life. But it's just, when you talk about a good meet, you go to the IPA meet and they're phenomenal. And I competed with them for probably till 2013, I think. And then when I got out of it, I got back into it. I actually met a friend of mine. I wanted to get back into it. I met a friend of mine, DJ Mo, and I called him up on the phone. I asked him, I was like, "You still lifting?" He's like, "Well, not much, but I've been wanting to get back into it." And I was like, "Well, man, I sure need some good people to get involved with because I want to get back into it." And so I got hooked up with him down at the Rock down in Statesville, North Carolina, and started meeting all his guys and getting acquainted with those dudes, and we started rocking and rolling. I was still in Overkill at the time.
Oh, were you?
And then went into they have an organization here. It's on the East Coast called 365 with Bill Clary that Bill Gillespie competes with. And so I met with Bill Clary, and man, he just runs an amazing show. I mean, he is one of the most heartfelt people about the industry of anybody I've ever met in my life. And I was like, I want to compete in your competition. And he's like, well, come on board, and I went in there with the Overkill. I'd had it for 9 years, went in there, opened up with 700 pounds, and first thing blew out my shirt.
Oh.
And so I just so happened had good spotters at the time. And I went over and asked Bill, "This is my first competition back. Do you mind if I just rip the shirt off and go raw?" He was like, "Man, you just come on. You do whatever you feel that you need to do." And so I went back there, shook it off, and pulled the shirt off, throwed it on the ground, and went back and I opened up a 500 and then went 525 and just smoked. It was a smoke show. And but I've always had. I'm like you, Ryan. I've always had raw strength,
Yeah.
and it contributes to my shirt bench. But and I try to tell people that want a shirt bench, and especially I've seen a lot this weekend, but we'll go back to it later. But
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people want to grab a shirt and fill in the void for not being strong, and I want to tell people that you need to get to your point where you're as strong as you possibly can, and allow that to be your next step
Right.
into another place. But people want to use it as a crutch a lot of
Yeah.
times, and I think they need to work on their self strength before, and their muscle strength, and then add that to the end.
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah. But
Okay.
Did you see
Yeah, no,
a
that's a good
bunch of
point.
people warm up to like 300 and then put on the shirt and then jump to like 900? I know a lot of heavier
Yes.
guys do that.
That's insane.
Yes, and me and you both were, approximately the same age, and I can't do that myself. I need to get my joints and my muscles and all that
Right.
stuff. I need to get the blood in there and make sure that I'm protected. And here I am. You asked earlier, but I'm 48 years
Yeah.
old in July this year,
Same.
and I've got to take care of myself first and foremost.
Right.
And then go out there and do what I need to do. And usually it takes me 6 to 8 sets before I even get to where I need to be.
Yeah. I usually when I was in competition, I'd warm up to 585 raw and then put a shirt on and go 7, 8, 9, 10, and that 9 or 10 would be my opener. So I've been trying like 200-pound jumps, and those feel okay.
Yeah.
But I know like Scott Mendelson, he warms up to three reds, which is what 375, and then he goes to like 900, and that's
Jimmy's the same way.
That's so crazy.
I watched Jimmy this weekend, and he blew my mind. He was like 3 or 4 warm ups and goes to 1200. I'm like,
What?
what?
So wild.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
Jimmy, what's going on? I got to figure what's
Did
his
Did you see
warm
how high he warms up raw? Does he do much raw?
dude, no, he does like two sets of raw, 2 to maybe 3 sets of raw, and then throws the shirt on, and then does maybe one warm up set, and then goes to the bench. And I'm like, dude, you're a cyborg. I mean, you're not real.
He's part, yeah, he's alien. That's all right.
Wild.
I was like, you're a clone.
Yeah.
You're not even real.
Not
dude.
real. No, he's
Yeah.
part alien.
Made different, isn't he?
Yeah.
We all have green
Yeah.
blood in us a little bit. So,
But he's
Yes.
definitely.
all right, Ashley, what do you got for question? I'm rambling.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, you're right.
Did you play any sports in high school, and if so, which ones?
No, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play sports. My father, he was a brick mason, had a masonry company, and I ended up was one of the help during the summertime. So it was one of the things, you had to get out there and help the father,
Oh, yeah.
pay the bills and all that stuff. So, hard work and ethics and stuff was all that I ever got to do. And it was kind of a downfall, but I'd come home and have 50 phone calls on the phone saying, dude, we need you on the football field. We need you on the football
Really?
team. And, I mean, every evening
That's
I'd come
nuts.
home and Dad look at me and he's like, man, I need you.
Really?
And when he's looking at you and says, I need you, then you got to kind of put everything to the side and do your job and go help the family.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
that's I did that. And the thing about it is I look back on it, we could regret that we didn't play football or wrestle or whatever, but I look at where I'm at now
Mhm.
and thank goodness that I did what I did, because it gave me the strength to put me where I'm at now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And everything has a reason
was
in
just
life, no
gonna
matter
say
what, whether it's negative or positive,
Mhm. Yeah.
That's true.
Everything happens for a reason, and it got you to where
Absolutely.
you're at right now, which is where you need to be.
Yes.
No, totally. Okay. How much did you squat, bench, and deadlift in high school? Towards the beginning as a freshman, maybe, and then like towards the end as a senior.
When I come in as a freshman, I was 225 bencher,
Okay.
weighing about 220.
Wow.
My squats were, around a 315, 335 area, and deadlifts was close to 405 or something.
Okay.
I mean, and it's crazy because back in mine and Ryan's day when we were going to high school, I look at the kids that's coming through high school now, and I'm like, oh my God, what are they feeding these kids, man?
That's true.
I mean, I look at kids like this new kid we had, a 17-year-old that's blowing deadlifts out of the water. I'm like, what in the world are they feeding these kids?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind because, back in the day, 405 or 500 was a big ass deadlift or a big ass squat.
Big.
But now you've got kids in high school
Yes.
now that's doing 600, 700, 800 pounds. I'm like, what in the world?
Like human beings are
And,
evolving in some way. I don't know.
It is. I really believe that.
Wow.
I do. I honestly believe that they're and they're learning a whole lot more through social media
True.
and how to train
True.
and people like me and you coming on there and saying this is what you need to do to become a bigger
True.
athlete, where we didn't have
No.
that. We had muscle mag.
That's all it was, Doug.
Exactly.
And,
Yep, I
That's
talk
what
about
we
that
always
all the time.
Powerlifting USA, and we got to read the magazine and said, "Oh, this is how you need to do it." And it's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do next
Yeah,
week.
exactly. Oh,
It's exactly what he always says.
yep.
But I believe, like you said, I think the whole thing is evolving, and that's what I try to tell a lot of these older lifters that they complain a little bit about these new shirts when they don't realize that me and you started off in a blast shirt.
Exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they evolved to a double denim shirt with grid stitch.
Yep.
And then we were in it, and all these guys were like, man, these things are stiff, but man, you can sure push a lot of weight.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, they're coming out with a poly shirt, and everybody's like, crap on those denims. We're going to get into a poly
Yeah.
shirt.
Right.
And the people has got to realize, especially in the powerlifting industry, everything has an evolution to
It
it,
does.
and it evolves. And you either get on board or get left behind.
That's right.
And I tell people, I said it's just like going out on the golf course with Jack Nicklaus, and he's got a diamond plated driver, and you're sitting there with the old grandpa stuff,
Yeah.
and he's driving it 50 yards farther than you are. What are you going to do? You're going to go back to the golf store and you're going to buy your diamond headed
Right.
driver,
Absolutely.
just like Jack
Oh, yeah.
Nicklaus has got. So, you either get on board or get left behind. And, I hate you hear these guys, the old lifters, it's like, man, I ain't putting on one of them shirts. I ain't using that thing. But it's the evolution, just like the double denims. It's just like the blast shirts when they first come out. It evolves through time, and you just have to evolve with it and be the best at it. So that makes it even better because you're evolving with it and you're being the best at it.
Yeah.
And when something else comes out, I'll get in it and I'll be the best at it too.
That's right.
Right.
And that's what creates champions. You take what you've got at the time and you make the best out of it.
That's correct, Doug. Yeah.
And that's just like Jimmy Kolb and Tiny and all of us, Bill Gillespie. We took what we got right now and we've done the very best with what we've got,
Right.
and we've come out on top. And so, you can't take nothing away from what we're doing as far as powerlifting, because we're making these things do way more than what anybody else has ever done in their entire existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. I can't remember if we already touched on this. How much did you weigh in high school?
220.
I weighed 220 to 235
Okay.
was my average weight in high school.
Okay.
I went into the military. When I went in the military, I was weighing 242, somewhere around in there, and lost down to 220 again because they run you like hell, and you just do so much physical training, and you don't hardly eat much. But and then I come out, I actually gained muscle size through my time in the military and came out weighing about 250. And so when I got out of there, I settled into about 264 and 265, and I've stayed there ever since.
Right.
It's just like, I get stronger and stronger and stronger, but I still stay at my average weight. And Ryan, you've always been that way. You're the same thing. You get into that weight class that fits you perfectly, and that's where your body wants to stay, no matter how much. But you still get stronger and stronger and stronger.
True. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I weighed 145 my freshman year. So you were a big kid in high school, man. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sides there, huh?
All right, Ashley, what do you got?
Are you coached by someone, or do you do all your own programming and train yourself?
Well, I have been in the past when I started shirt benching. Mark Holbrook, he was pretty much my go-to guy of helping me get through of what I needed to do, and we'd get together on Friday nights and worked out at Superflex in Elkin, and we had Tim Higgins there and Mark and those dudes, man. I'm telling you, they're scientists when it comes to this stuff, and they sit there and pick everything apart and make you perfect. And Mark had his thing that he helped me with, and then Tim, he was the scientist when it came to going to these competitions, because Tim was one of the greatest spotters and squatters and deadlifters I've ever seen in my life. I mean,
Wow.
man could walk up to anything, pick it up or let it down.
Wow.
And but he knew the ins and out of going to a competition and taught me, you got to get to a competition, just like you told me the other day. When you get there, calm down, get your place, find your hole. Don't worry about anybody else but yourself, and just do your job at the end of the day, because that's all it is just a job.
Right.
And he was so critical in being me who I am today, that if it hadn't been for all that, I wouldn't be the dude I am today, because of telling me, hey, sit your ass down, calm down, don't go over here and talk to everybody that you want to talk to that's famous and all this, that, and the other, because you're here with the best, because you are one of the
That's
best.
right.
And you've got to realize that, and you've got to keep yourself in control. And once I learned that, and then I took people with me that never knew that, I've had some of the baddest dudes I've ever seen in my life take them with me, and they do the same exact thing, go run around and want to warm up an hour before it's time to
Yep.
go. And by the time it's go time, they're done worn out.
Yep.
A full power lifter. By the time they get to deadlifts, they're done worn out and can't even pull nothing.
Yep.
And everything in a meet is so critical, especially like Ashley, she's a full power lifter. Everything that during that day has a critical part of what you do in that day and what you accomplish.
Right.
And you have to plan that thing out to the T, because everything you do, you're losing energy from.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're going max effort for 3 lifts.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole day is down to the wire. And it's just like our bench, when we get on underneath 1,000 pounds, everything you do is critical.
Oh yeah.
I mean, down to the last footing, hand placement,
Very true.
shoulder placement, head placement. Everything is so critical when you're going max effort. It just, you've got to have everything squared away. And I've learned that, and that's where he came in and said, this is what you've got to do to put everything together to make you the best that you are. And I keep that to this day. And I thanked him today. I texted him, called him up, and I was like, man, I just want to thank you for, and every time I compete and I do a really good at a meet and I accomplish something, every one of these people that I've named tonight, I text them up and say, I really appreciate it. You were the stepping stone that got me to where I'm at. And I'll never forget where I came from and the people that got me to where I'm at. And being appreciative like that, I think the karma comes back to you in the end. I really do.
I agree.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. Can you tell us about your training leading up to a bench only comp?
Yeah, usually 6 weeks out from a meet, mentally is everything, but I pour concrete for a living. So I'm working, 8 hours a day pouring concrete, and not just, standing around, but I'm actually physically in there doing the work too.
Yeah.
So I have to coordinate all of that with my training, and then go in the gym at the end of the day and put my head together to come in there and set up for that meet that's 6 weeks out. And it's almost twice as hard, because I've got to, especially in the summertime, you've got 96-degree weather. I mean, and then you got to suck it up and say, hey, you got to meet 6 weeks. You got to go to the gym. You got to do it no matter whether you feel like it or
That's
not.
right.
You suck it up and you get in there.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you might have a bad day or something, but if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it.
That's right.
It don't matter what it is. And so, I'll what I end up doing, Ryan, is I'll work heavy one week and I'll skip the next week and go light.
Okay.
So if I'm benching, we bench on Sundays.
Okay.
And so if we bench on Sunday heavy, like if I go over 1,000 pounds on this Sunday, then the following Sunday I'll only go to like 800 or 825 or something.
Oh, okay.
And do a couple sets with it, because our joints are just as important as anything.
Very true.
And these guys that say they get underneath this heavy weight every single week, well, it might work now because you're young, but when you get over 40, then that's it don't work every day, because everything that you're doing is taking a hold of you, and you will pay for it in the end.
So Doug, I don't mean to
And
interrupt, but the
yeah,
week you go heavy, is that full range like with the heavy weights, or
I
is the light day to boards
thi-
or
this is my thing, Ryan, and I'll preach it to the day I
okay,
die. With these shirts, don't use boards.
okay,
And I am a no board guy. And the reason I say that, when I was with Overkill with Rudy Rosales, he broke me of this stuff. And he's like, listen, I'm sending you a shirt. And the only way you're going to develop this shirt, he's like, if you're breaking this shirt in, then use boards to break it in. But once you get it to full range, get rid of those boards and start working that shirt to full range.
okay.
Because even if you stop an inch or inch and a half off of your chest, still work this shirt to its max effort, because all you're doing is making this shirt fit form to your body.
Oh, okay.
So every time you move this shirt to where it stops, then it's forming to what you are. Now that's with a polished shirt. Now we have these new rubberized
Yeah,
shirts, F8s, and these things will not load up underneath until you get underneath a 3 board.
right.
And and so you've got to get into that groove and feel that momentum and see what that momentum does, so that you can move and maneuver it so that your elbows and everything can follow through with it.
Right.
And what happens so many times is these guys are bored up to a meet and get to a meet, and every single time they bomb out. And it's like, I've been boarding for 3 or 4 weeks, 1,000 pounds or this, that, and the other. And I tried 900. I just can't, I just keep dumping it.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you've not worked full range. It's just like, going to a racetrack and not finishing the last 3/4 of the lap.
It's a
You
really
know,
good analogy.
you're not doing the whole thing, so you don't know what you don't. It's like doing a high squat and then going to a meet and saying, "Man, I just didn't get in the hole. I was weak down there, and I just couldn't get out of the hole." Well, that's because you wasn't going full range. And I truly believe that full range is, if you see me warm up, I warmed up this weekend. I do not use boards, because I really feel like it works against
Okay.
what you're doing, because you're trying to feel that full movement of that weight to the time it touches, so that you can feel what it's doing coming off of your body, so that you can follow through with it. And the more you do that, and the more repetitions that you do that, the faster you become and the better you get at it.
So when you're going 800, are you using your 1,000 pound, 1,100 pound shirt, but pulling the sleeves up, and then are you touching, or do you have a separate shirt you're wearing that you can touch
I have a
800 in?
separate, yes, I have a separate shirt.
Okay.
What I train these guys, I have a friend of mine, Stephen Lane. I've been training him. He just has come to me from South Carolina. He's down there with around where Duncan Hudley's at, down in
Right.
Clemson. And he calls me up and he's like, Doug, I've got this new shirt. It just ain't working right. What do I need to do? I was like, come train with me. It's all I can tell you. I got to see what you're doing before I can help you. So first thing he does is pull out this 3-ply F8 shirt from Rob. And by the way, these F8s are amazing, and that's why we all have them. But he pulls it out, sets it down on the ground, and every time I've seen him at a meet, he's bombed. And I'm like, dude, you've got way too much shirt. That's just too much for you right now. I need you to try my shirts. So I put him in a single ply. I make him do 725 for a triple, and he goes bam, bam, bam. Looks beautiful. So I know he's got the strength to go up. So I put him in a double ply at 825. So he's been trying to open up with like 905, 925 in his triple ply at a meet, and bombs out every time.
Right.
So I put him at 825, and I make him do a triple with a double ply.
Okay.
And so I get him out there, make him go down. I'm making him speed up. He's a pound in the weight. It looks great. Put it in the rack. He's like, man, I've never done that in my life. I'm like, exactly. You've moved weight 3 times that you've never moved in your life, and you moved it fast, because just like Bill Gillespie's taught me in the past, when you tendency to have reps, it's a matter of time. It's not a matter of weight or strength. It's a matter of time. So you've got to move that amount of weight in a considerable amount of time before you run out of energy. So therefore, your brain's saying, I've got to speed up. So that's in turn is what I'm teaching these guys is speed. And you see my speed. You know what my
I
speed's
have,
about.
Doug.
And so I'm teaching this guy, he can handle this weight, and usually he'll mess up his first rep. He'll hit his second rep almost perfect, and then his third rep will be a little bit off because he's getting tired. So that second rep is initially the perfect rep that I'm looking for. So the more he's doing this, the more he finds that perfect rep by feeling the weight on his body and how it's moving in full movement. And so he's accomplishing something. He's accomplishing speed. He's accomplishing the groove. And he's also telling himself in his head, I've just benched 825 for 3 reps. Yeah. So you've accomplished 3 things in just that one movement. And so what I ended up doing is the next time he comes, we'll go up go up to 845, do the same thing until he gets to 900. He's doing triples in 900. He didn't even realize he got there yet. He's already. And what I do is I go from a single ply. I find that, like you said, you warm up to, say, 575. I would put a single ply on and go to 655 and do a set of triple. And then I would go to, say, 725 and go to a set with a single ply for a set of triple. And then I put my double ply on and I go to 845 or 855 for a triple. And these triples are doing nothing but setting you up for that single that you're going to do in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. I keep them away from singles because I'm training their body to find that perfect form and that perfect speed, so that they know that when they get that weight out there and put it in that spot, it's going to come up exactly like it's supposed to. And it's just a matter of repetition. And you know that as well as I do. When me and you working 500 pounds each week, we added a rep. Then it got faster and faster and faster because there again, we're working in time. So we're going to move that weight faster. So if we're doing 5 or 6 reps of 500, then we go up 7 next week. So we're going to get faster on that 7 than we did the 6 because we've got to get to the 7. Right. So it's a matter of that speed and time. So get it out there and get it done.
Assistance work after you doing your main movement. Do you have any tricep assistance work you do of any kind?
I actually stole your assistance work.
Okay, that's fine. It works.
But that ladder bar movement that you do on the bench, man, that is the trick. Now I'm telling you, where you come down and rotate into your head and then back up and press. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that is one of the best rotation movements I've found, and it works great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we do. Like I said, we have like 40 or 50 different tricep exercises, so we're always rotating new ones in, and yeah, it keeps it fun.
Yes.
All right, Ashley, what do you got next?
Okay. So that one was about training leading up to a comp. This one is, what is your off-season training like? Like, when you don't have a meet coming up super soon. My computer went black. How much do you get in the shirt? Is it all raw? What can you
off-season training?
Your off-season training.
Most time it involves a fishing pole and a tackle bar.
Hey,
I'm just kidding.
I like that answer. I love it.
But no, we cut the reps down. We cut the weight down and increase the reps, and we do get in the shirt some. I'll get in a single ply a little bit and do a lot of volume, and just move some weight just to be in there and just to try to get something done without injuring any joints or anything. Right. It's just like now I'm going to take a couple of months off and just allow everything to heal back up and allow the joints to heal and just take it easy and not be too concerned about how much you do or what you're going to do in the gym, and just get it done. Sometimes we overthink things, and especially in the off season, that's when you need to just relax and allow everything to heal and just take a break and a breather, because a lot of times we get burnt out. We go so hard so long. It's just like, we just need a break. And that's why I'm glad I like to deer hunt and turkey hunt and all that stuff, because it does mentally give me a break from doing it so long and so much and so hard, and people get so burnt out, they end up quitting because they just done it so hard and so long. It's just like, man, I don't want this no more.
Yeah.
And it's just, I found it very good that I do actually get to deer hunt and the turkey hunting and hog hunting and stuff. I took Bill Gillespie down there hog hunting. I know he mentioned it to you on your podcast, and and took him to kill his first hog. He killed
Awesome.
like a 260-pound hog. Man, that dude had him a blast. I'm telling you, that was one of the greatest adventures I've had in a long time. And he calls me up about once a week. He's like, dude, when we going hog hunting?
You got somebody hooked.
Dude,
You got him hooked, didn't
we
you?
got to go hog hunting. I've got me a scope. I've got me a gun. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
I
And,
love it.
but it's just, you know, you got to take. I love the sport, but I love the people more than I do the sport. You know what I mean? I love that I've got a 1,100-pound bench, but just being able to go out there this weekend and meet all those guys, man, that was worth everything to me. You know, I come from a small town and ain't got a lot of people around, and we don't get to go to places like that all the time. So just being around those guys and being able to sit down and have a good conversation with Rich Putnam and Bob Merck and Tiny and all those dudes, man, that was worth it all to me.
Definitely.
A lot of good camaraderie
like
and
it.
good sportsmanship there.
Yes, I'm telling you.
Definitely.
There was no bad seed at that show.
No. And I you know, like I say, I'm very hard about that, about being around people in the gym. I don't like negativity, and you know, it's not got a place around me. And especially in the gym, you know, that's where everybody needs to be positive and push each other, and because that's what we're there for. And
get better.
I'm all about the positivity, and it shows because we've got guys now. I've just joined 4 guys this month on the ESP as far as just monsters. That's going to be great for ESP, and I got one kid. He's 148 pounds and deadlifting 700.
Damn.
And raw, and he's a freak beast.
Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
And I like getting people like that. You know, I just like watching them and seeing what they do. You know, and I want them to see them achieve what me and you have achieved. You know, and it's just a great feeling. It's like taking somebody fishing for the first time and seeing them catch a fish that they've never caught before. You know, and it's just a good feeling.
Yeah, especially, you know, me being in the sport for over 27 years and being able to train other people, coach other people, pass the knowledge that I have down to them and see them progress in the bench press like overnight. It's fun.
Absolutely.
It's rewarding.
By the way, you're getting old, Ryan.
I know, thank you.
A little bit.
Just had that
Aren't
cortisone
you guys
shot
like
today.
the exact same age though?
Hey, you know, I got one thing to say.
Not to
Bill
point you-
Gillespie,
Yes.
62
True.
and 1,100 plus bencher.
I've got Jeff Guller working with me. I don't know if you remember Jeff or not. He's with Elite Fitness, and he's the oldest man still competing, man. He's 82-year-old.
Good for him, sir.
And he still writes articles for Elite Fitness.
Oh, wow.
And he drives 2 hours every Sunday to come train with us. And
Whoa.
I'm just, and he's like, I'm honored to be here. I'm like, you don't realize I'm honored to have you.
Dude,
He's
a phenom. He's like one of a kind, man. There's not many people doing it. No.
He's a blessing to us to have him in there and inspire us to be, you know, who he is at 82-year-old.
What's the secret to longevity? Maybe we can ask him a few questions.
Yeah, no lie.
Yeah, he's doing good. All right, Ashley, what do you got?
Where did you have something else you wanted to add, Doug? I think he kind of.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I thought he kind of cut you off. He does that.
I do sometimes. I'm sorry.
I'm used to it, but
just say, "Hey, Kennelly, I'm not done."
Right? Yeah, totally. Totally feel free to do that, and I will jump on him for you too.
That's right.
So since you brought up ESP powerlifting, I decided to switch that question and make it next. When did you create ESP powerlifting, and what is it about?
Back in let's see, it was 2010 or 2011. We were all of our guys. We had a good group of guys. We were lifting, and they were all strong as bulls. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, you know, here we are going around to these meets, IPA meets and stuff, and we're not affiliated. You know, we're unaffiliated with anything. There's nothing that specifies who we are as a group. And I got to sitting down one night, and I got to just looking on the internet, and I seen it was an Indonesian tiger, and they were showing how it was an endangered species, and it was dying out, and there wasn't many left, and they was talking about how strong and how magnificent it was, and how powerful it was, and what it could accomplish. And then I got to thinking about us as far as human beings, like me and Ryan and the rest of us, Tiny and Bill Gillespie's, and we are the endangered species. We're a dying breed, and they don't make them like us no more. And as humans, as men, and as athletes, we are a dying breed, and that's why we do what we do as far as being in the gym and trying to train other young people to do what we do, because we want to see them succeed as well as we did, and that's where ESP originated. And we kind of got away from it for a little while, and then I brought it back about 2 years ago, and man, it is just like blown out the roof now, and we've got people coming from all over just wanting to be a part of it, man, and I really feel comfortable, and I feel like that one day we'll hopefully be one of those like a West Side Barbell, or Elite Fitness or Anderson Powerlifting. I want to be that dude that has some of the best lifters in the world
Right.
come out of it and say, man, I appreciate all y'all done and got me to where I'm at today. We got Duncan Hudley right now with this kid right here, man. I don't know if you've heard about him or not, but this kid right here is going to be, he's 22-year-old. He's a coach at Clemson, and he's an amazing athlete, and he can squat, bench, deadlift. He can do it all. And he's going for the single ply record, over 1,000 pounds with a single ply Titan.
Whoa.
And he is now with Anderson Powerlifting,
Right.
and I'm glad he got on with them, and they've been helping him out and getting him around and stuff. And this kid is, he's a squat monster and a deadlift monster like you wouldn't believe.
Nice.
But just seeing those guys achieve the things that we've got to achieve and see them progress, man, it's worth it all. And
For sure.
I just want to see more of it, and that's why I do what I do. Is benching 1,100 pounds is nice, but it's just a platform for me to be able to bring these guys in and to watch them do amazing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm proud of, and I'm more proud of my people than I am myself.
Right.
So.
For sure.
And that's what you're
Love
supposed
it.
to be, and
Correct.
you just stay
That's what he
humble
talks
to the
about too.
sport, and it'll always take care of you.
Yeah. No, totally. That's what he talks about also. Did you already, I hope I didn't miss it, did you say what ESP stands for?
Yeah, it's endangered species
Oh,
powerlifting.
okay. God,
Yeah.
slow here.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I was going to touch base, but I did when we Bill started coming down and training with me back in December and January. Me and Bill touched base back and forth last year, and Bill was chasing that all-time world record, and he calls me up. And he's like, "Man, I really want this. I'm gonna retire in January. It's hard on my health. I want to get my health right, and
Right.
I would love to come down and train with you." I'm like, "Come on, dude. Doors always open for these guys." And so they come down and train with us for 3 weeks, and I give my spotters got on him and started spotting him and stuff. And I told him, I was like, "Bill, man, you're just way too slow, and you're getting that bar out there. We got to speed you up. We got to, this is your retirement. They're right here. We got to do it." And man, he knew he had to have it. And so we went down there in January, and it was picture perfect. You couldn't have wrote it in a book, man. I'm telling you, he missed his first 2 lifts, couldn't get anything together, and we're sitting side by side. And I looked at him. I was like, "Bill, this is your last lift, dude. You got to do it. Right here it is." And I went out there and got my 1,003 for the first time, and tried 1,087, and it wasn't working that day, and just couldn't get nothing set up. And I'm pumping Bill, and Bill goes out there, and I've never seen a bench more perfect than that bench he did that day. I mean, my guys got it out to him as fast as possible. I told him, I said, "Y'all get that bar up to him. He can't waste no energy. He needs to get it done. This is his time to shine." And son, I'm telling you, when I watched the video back, I could not believe how fast that bar smoked up, and
Awesome.
I was so proud of him, man.
Same.
It about brings me to tears now just thinking about it. But and he just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it, and he was so happy. He went out there and called his wife and family and stuff, and was crying and stuff.
Oh.
And man, those are the moments you remember in powerlifting, and when you change somebody's life forever, and that meant more to me than what I did,
Yeah.
and So me and Bill will be friends forever. I pick his brain all the time, and just like me and you picking each other's
Yeah.
brain, Ryan, on the phone and stuff, and that's what we do as powerlifters,
Right.
and it's part of a family, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I just want to carry it on to the Duncan Hudleys and the Stephen Lanes and all these guys, these new kids that's coming up, and see them succeed like we have,
Right.
and allow them to have that feeling like we've had, you know.
Exactly.
Oh, totally. Okay, very cool. Very cool. I love it. That's a really, really special thing you got going there. Let's see here. What did you think about competing in the baddest bencher on the planet? And can you tell us about your experience at the baddest bencher on the planet that you competed in this past weekend?
Yeah, I was at the gym. It was right after January, and I was at the gym, and I was in there, and Rob texted me, and he's like, "Heads up, Tiny's going to call you." He's like, "I give Tiny your number." I was like, "Oh, okay." And man, I got to give props to Rob though, man. He has helped me out so much, man. He is
Yeah.
he's been a blessing to me as far as putting me where I'm at today, and I just want to just verbally thank him for all that he's done, because he is one of these guys that if you need it, he'll make sure you got
That's
it.
right.
And
Awesome.
I'm so thankful. But I'm in the gym fixing to go train, and it was on I think it was actually on my Wednesday, my raw bench day, and I get a phone call. It says Houston, Texas. I'm like, who in the was calling me from Houston, Texas? And I was like, oh God, it might be Tiny. So I pick up the phone, put my earbuds in. I'm like, hello. He's like, Doug Smithey. I was like, yeah, this is Tiny Meeker. I'm like, the Tiny Meeker?
Yeah.
He's like, and he starts laughing. And I'm like, hello, you know, and we start talking. He's like, I'd like to cordially invite you to the baddest bencher on the planet. And man, I about lost it, you know, because you don't know how long I've been chasing this thing. It's just been, you know, 17 years in the making. And for him to invite me just to this show meant the world to me. And uh, I told him yes, I'd come, and he's like, "Well, I appreciate you, you know, everything, and I'll be sending you stuff out." And so they start sending me stuff, and man, he puts us in a group text with all the other guys. I'm like, "Dude, I've got everybody's phone number. You know, here it is, Jimmy Kolb and all this. You know, it was important to me. You know, here I am, nobody to you know to the powerlifting
Oh,
world,
God, I would
and
not say that.
so it was kind of surreal to me at the moment. And so I prepared, and I got to telling the guys, I was like, listen, we've got a 365 meet coming up for the Nationals, and this is what I'd like to do. And I had to think about it really hard, because this is, you know, Tiny Meeker's meet's not small to me, it's huge. So I had to really think about it. And I said, you know, what's going to be the best for me in my mind to go about this? And I said, well, I think that I'm going to compete in the Nationals 3 weeks prior to Tiny's meet. And they're like, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, y'all don't understand. If I can go into this local meet where I'm not fatigued and I can do really, really good, and all that's going to do is just prep me mentally for this meet with the guys out in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know my mind and my body will take care of whatever if my mind's in it. So I said, I'm going to go for 1,100. I'm going to break Tony Corlini's record at 1,087 at 275. And if I do that, then I'm not going out there with my head and shoulders down and feel like a dog with his tail between his legs. I'll go out there with my shoulders back and head high, because I've done something that makes me proud.
Absolutely.
So we prepped, and I said, well, let me see what the next few weeks look like in our benching, and let's go from there. So I took off a week. The next week I went in there, I put 1,100 pound on there, and boom, it was great. And so I called Rob up. I said, listen, I want a new shirt. Can you make this happen? He sends me a 4-ply and black shirt. So, you know, all the stuff on it. I get in it the next week, and I just wanted to try it out. So I went ahead and I put the boards on it, 3 board, because it's a new shirt.
Right.
I want to break
Yeah.
it in. So I get out there, I go to 3 boards. There's nothing in the shirt, because like I said, if you're above 3 boards, you have no power. The shirt's not doing anything. So it's all you.
Right.
So I'm grinding this thing out. I was like, oh crap, this is not good. And so Andrew Moe, my head spotter, he's probably one of him and Mark Holbrook and Richie Anderson are the best spotters in the world, and I'll contend to that for the rest of my life. But they said take a board off and let's do a 2-board. All right, so I took it down to 2-board. I started getting in the shirt. Wham! It blew up. I was like, okay, now we're in the ball game. So I'm feeling confident. I got my confidence back. So I quit there. I went to the next week, which will be my strong week. I said, well, I'm going to put that shirt on. I'm going to go to the belly. Okay. And so I put it on, got it cranked down there. I got it within an inch, and the bar rolls out of my hand, and I dump it.
Oh.
And so, but when you got spotters like mine, you don't worry about dumps. They see it coming way before it's there. And so they grab it, chuck it in the rack. I pull it off. I'm kind of skeptical about it, and I'm having my my thoughts because I'm wanting to use this shirt in baddest bench. So I put it back on. I get brave, and I put it back on. They're pumping me. Get your shirt back on. All right. So I take it down, and I get within 3/4 of an inch, and it powers off really easy. I'm like, okay, I've got my confidence back. I feel really good. And I'm like, I don't think that I can compete in the nationals with this shirt because I'm just not ready for it. It's just not, I had to be smart. So I put my old shirt, my old 4-ply shirt back on, my colored shirt, my blue and black shirt, and put it back on. That's after I dumped it. And after I done pushed 1100 with the black shirt one more time. So my third attempt, I put the blue shirt on, touched 1100 and smoked it. And I'm like, okay, I've got my guru back. I'm good to go. I'm gonna go for the 1100 at the nationals. So I went to the nationals, and I got to thinking, how am I gonna do this? And you're always thinking in your mind how you want everything to play out. So I'm trying to make my day go as smooth as possible. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go out for my first attempt and use one of my warm-ups, and I'm gonna go 865 for one of my warm-ups for my opener. And they're like, what? I was like, just let me do my thing. So my first attempt was 865, get it down there, wham, blow it off the water. I mean, it was just easy as pie. Oh, yeah. Everybody's shouting, yeah, you done good. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, I've got the jitters out. I've got everything good. Let's go for the gold. Oh, yeah. And so I put the 4-ply back on, get out there. My confidence is up. My head's right. I put it in the pocket, and you seen what happened. Boom. It was a smoke show. And so then my head is right for Texas. So I'm good to go. I've just broke the all-time world record, 275, lightest man to ever bench 1,100 pounds. So now I've got my head good to go. All I got to do is just go out there and show up and do my job. Yep. Ride the bull. And so I go out there, and man, I'm telling you, I get out there, and we got weigh-ins first day. I mean, it was just bam, 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 bam. And they ended up, it was going to be a 2-day show, 2-day event. Mm-hmm. The IPA was having their worlds there. Right. And they ended up 40 days out. Fred Fisher told me before the meet or after the meet, he was like, we was planning on having a 2-day event, but 40 days out, we didn't have enough entry. So the facility that they have cost so much, they switched it to 1 day. Oh. And within 30 days of the time for the event, they had over 100 entries. And so they ended up having 5 flights of squat, 5 flights of deadlift, and 5 flights of bench. Wow. Not counting what we had to do. So it was just, I mean, it was bam, bam, bam. And so we had the weigh-ins on Friday and had a meet and greet and the whole 9 yards. And they Tiny gave us the layout. Man, he was running himself to death on Friday, man. I'm telling you, this poor kid, I felt sorry for him. That dude worked his hind end off for this meet, but I'm going to tell you what, it was probably one of the best meets I've ever been to in my life. Right. Really? But as hard as he worked for that meeting to still be able to lift and do as good as he did, man, I give him all the props in the world because, I mean, that he put on a show. I mean, he impressed me as much with his work ethic and getting all that done and then going back there and warming up and getting on the bench than anybody I know of. And I did that myself doing meets here locally for the 365. So I know what it takes, and it zaps you. Mm-hmm. And it takes everything you got just to move the weight, make weights around the platforms and the monoliths and all that stuff. And I mean, he's doing that all day long and then turns around and gets on the bench. So my props out and my heart's out to Tiny for all that he done. And I'm very proud to be a part of it. Right. Absolutely. And So we was back there warming up, and I had Bob Merck with us, and Rob Farrell, and Rich Putnam. And Rich, he was the guy that kind of, welcomed me with open arms. I talked to Rich 2 or 3 weeks prior, and we'd got to know each other really good. He's a contractor up in upstate New York, and we got to talking, and man, we was like brothers from another mother. I mean, it was just like, and so we got to talking and hanging out and stuff. So that day warming up, I was like, man, get in here. We'll all get together and we'll warm up together. And we had Kennelly. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but he's from Finland.
Right.
But he's a phenomenal dude too. He was in there with us, and we was all getting ready. And I told Rich, I was like, man, won't you use my spotters? I said, I've got the best spotters in the world. I said, there's nobody any better. I said, ask Bill Gillespie, he'll tell you. But he's like, man, I appreciate it. So they got underneath of him. We got to warming up. We was going 625, 725. And he was like, man, I said, you'll see just in a minute how good these spotters are when we get heavy. We go to 825. They hand it out to him. Pow, pow. He's like, you ain't no lying. These boys right here know what they do. And you know as well as I do, Ryan, that when you're underneath that kind of weight, a perfect spotter means the world. Because if you're off left or right, that transfers that weight, and it's a struggle to get set.
Very, very true.
And so these guys, it's just like they were born to do this. And my hat's off to Richie Anderson and Mark Holbrook and Andrew Moan for what they do for me, because I wouldn't be the man I am without them. But he gets underneath that, and then I'm there, and I have my moment. I'm like, here's Jimmy Kolb standing in front of me, and all these guys. I've got to prove to myself and them that I'm here for a reason.
That's right.
And I even went back to your text, and you was like, you go show them that you deserve to be there. And I was like, I've got to show them while they're standing around the bench here that I'm here. So everybody's using boards and all this stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want no boards. And I took the 825, and when I come up with it, I just rattled it at the top. I was just like, oh. And so I was ready to go. I went out there, and I got sat down with Rob and Rich, and we were sitting there just sitting around, and we would go out for our first attempts, and we're just having a hard time just getting anything in. And I just had a hard time finding my feet, and couldn't get my footing. So by the time I went out there the second time, I was like, man, I'm going to do this. I didn't come here for nothing, Ryan Kennelly told me I better show up, so I'm going to show up. So I got out there, and man, I tell you, I went down with that bar, and as you've seen in the video, I just smoked the weight coming down. And when I hit that, they had the face savers set, and the face savers was one too high for me. And when it hit my body, as well as the higher the weight you go, the more the weight pushes you down. So the farther you go down on the face savers. So it hit the face savers, and it just flattened out. And I was like, oh gosh. And I knew it in my mind, but the other part of my beast mode said, no, today is not the day that you're going to let this happen. So I grounded out with all heart and ass and everything else, but ended up getting it to the top and got 2 green lights out of it, or 2 white lights, and got 1,053 pounds that day. And it was just like after that, Rich got his in at 1,030, and then Kayla got his at 1,058, and then here comes Tiny up from the back, and Jimmy. You can't stop Jimmy, Cyborg. But that's what I'm going to call him from now on. Yeah, that's what his new name is. But that dude, he blows my mind. He ended up getting a 1271, and man, he takes so much time on his descent. I'm like, dude, how in the world can you do what you do and still smoke that weight up? And my hat's off to him. He's a beast. But it was a great day, man. I got to meet a lot of good people, and I love the meet. It was one of the spectacular meets, man. It was a beautiful show, and I can't wait to do it again. I think our next meet's going to be, I'm going to wait till probably September.
Yeah.
I think September or November. Retta West is having a meet. It's a money meet up in New York.
Okay.
And I think we'll give it some time. And Rich Putnam's going to be there, and Bob Merck said he's going to come to that one because he's just right there in New Jersey. So it should be a good show.
Nice.
I can't wait. But you have to pick your times that's good for you, and summertime's not good for me. I know Rob had a really good meet last year in Erie, Pennsylvania,
Yep.
up at his place, and it was right in the middle of July, and he had invited me to go, and I wanted to really go because it's a big meet and big names and a good meet. But it's in the middle of summer, and with my concrete work and stuff,
Yeah.
man, it just drains me,
I
and
can
it's
imagine.
just the worst time in the world for me to try to be on my top. And fall all the way to May is my best time, and after that, I just have to say no,
You're a
I'm
busy
out
man. Yeah.
until then. Yeah.
Doug, I had a real quick question. You did 1,100 in training. How many days or weeks was that prior to doing Tiny's meet?
Uh, I did 1,100 at the meet at 365 strong, and it was 3 weeks prior.
Okay.
Wow.
And so after that, only thing I done was a little over 1,000 after
Okay.
that, and so I wanted to stay within that 1,000 range, and I was shooting for an opener at 1,007 at Tiny's,
Right.
just going in there conservative so I could save some juice
Yeah.
for that big lift on my second. So I didn't want to tire myself out too much.
Okay.
As far as getting into Tiny's meet, I try to stay smart about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. It was at a meet. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
I was spacing a little bit. You keep referencing the text message I sent you, and I put a lot of thought when I was gonna that long text message when I was.
And it made a difference.
I'm glad it
too,
did,
man.
Doug.
I
I'm
mean,
glad to have helped.
people don't realize that you're a very influential person to me, and when somebody like you texts me and tells me this is what you need to do, I take it to heart, and I know that you've been there, you've done what I had to do, and had to face the things and the obstacles that I had to
Yeah.
face up in front of me, and I knew that this dude's been here. He knows. It's just like going to war.
Yeah.
If I'm going to Afghanistan and you've been there for 5 years, I'm gonna call you up and say, "Hey, Ryan, what am I getting into?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Because
What I need to do.
I want to be at my best when I step my foot on that ground
Goddamn right.
and know that what's up against me.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. Oh, darn it. Sorry.
Where we at,
I
Ashley?
scrolled down too far. Okay. How many days a week are you in the gym? Like what is your training split? What days do you do what?
Usually we train Monday through Thursday,
Okay.
and we'll take Friday and Saturday off and train on our heavy bench on Sunday. That gives us two days
Rest.
to really rest and get our game back. And what I end up doing is putting our leg day on Thursdays,
Okay.
and that gives us 2 days for our legs to recoup.
That's a good idea.
And my thought process is I try to work into every muscle group. So if I'm benching on Sunday, I'm working over into triceps and shoulders on Monday.
Mhm.
And then therefore I work into back on Tuesday, and then work into my raw bench on Wednesday, and then we do legs
Okay.
on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
So I try to, because you're already using those muscle groups in that workout the day prior, you're just not working as hard as you would as far as specific, things that you need to isolate certain muscle groups. So I think it works great that, you've already used some of your shoulder muscles, your rear and front delts, and a little bit of your triceps on bench day. So therefore you need to just roll over into it the next day because you already broke them in a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead and train them a little bit harder.
Okay.
And then you roll over into your back and finish it off. And then there you are, ready for raw bench.
Okay. I'm taking some notes.
Yep. Nope. That's really good. Like that. Let's see. What are your bench sessions like? That's a pretty vague question, but
Usually I keep everything within small reps, 3 to 5 reps. I know you're about the same way,
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
We're all about strength and power. So, the size will come with the strength and power. So we'll keep everything in sets of 3 all the way up to 3 sets of singles or something, and usually it's within 85 to 95 percentile range of what our max is. And then like on my heavy days, on my shirt days, on Sundays, like I told Ryan earlier, we'll warm up with our raw weight until we get to whatever we feel comfortable in, and then we'll go into sets of triples. I'm dead set on in these shirts, sets of triples are your goal as far as learning speed and finding that groove. Working those triples it just works. I mean, it's just I know it works.
Right.
But and usually like if you've got a fresh guy he ain't very strong and he needs to learn, like David Crater, for instance, I had him training since January, and well, we've been training a long time, but he's really got back at it at January. But I had him just do triples, wouldn't let him have a single. And he was like, "Man, when am I going to have a single?" I'm like, "You're not ready for a single yet. You know, get the speed and get the groove." And I was like, "When I see that you've got the speed and the groove, then we'll go to a single." But it's just it's like teaching a person how to play a piano and teaching them how to put their finger on each note and learn each note and what it sounds like. And then they start figuring it out. And then the next thing you know, they're playing music. But that's what we're doing is we're setting you up to be able to play music. But there's a process, so therefore, if you get them in those singles and you're learning that speed and you're learning that groove and you're getting your head right, because now you started at 725 for a set of triple, and now you're at 925 for a set of triple. Okay, you're ready for 1,000-pound bench.
Yeah.
And that's where Crater's at. Crater went into this meet. The most he's ever benched was like 800 pounds at most. No, he ain't even benched 800 pounds at a meet. He benched like 765 at a meet last year, and set him up. He went to this meet and benched 915,
Nice.
and everybody's like, "Do what?" and it's because he had speed, and he had strength, and he had that groove, and we built him to get there, and it was beautiful. He had more in the tank, and he told me that day, he was like, "Dude," he's like, "I told the Lord last night if he'd give me one lift in today," he was like, "I don't want no more," and that's what he did.
Right.
He stuck to his guns, and I give him props for that.
Yeah.
But this kid, I'm telling you, in 2 months' time, he's going to be 1,000-pound bencher. We've got 3 to 5 potential 1,000-pound benchers coming out of ESP within the next 4 months.
Nice, Doug.
That's really
Nice.
And it just amazes me. I mean, it's beautiful. We sit around and look at it, and it's just like, do you realize how many 1,000-pound benchers we got right here? And I'm like, it's just crazy. But the process works. I mean, the method works, and I know it does.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait to get Ryan down here and show him how the method works.
Where you live at, Doug? What state?
Definitely.
We're in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes from Appalachian State University.
Okay.
So we're right at Appalachian State.
Okay.
We're not too far. We're right at the foot of the mountain before you get to Appalachian State.
Okay.
And we're actually the home of where NASCAR started at, Junior Johnson and all that stuff.
Wow.
And they're actually
wow.
so it's a pretty nice little town, man. It's just a kind of a hole in the wall, but
Yeah.
but it's nice,
Well, I'm going to come visit then at some point. If we can...
Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
loves
absolutely.
to learn. Totally.
I done got Tiny talked in tonight. He's coming. He's going to come down. He's like, as long as it ain't hot there, he's like, I only go to Cancun when it's hot. So I was like, yeah, it gets about 94 here. He's like, no, you're going to have to let me come down when it's cooler. I told him about September, it gets about 74. So he's
that sounds
he's good with
And the
that.
humidity, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
74 sounds
I lived
a
in
little
Florida
better.
for a year, so I kind of...
So you know,
I know
all
about
about it then. Yeah.
All right, Ashley, what do you got?
Let's see here. Okay. How important are training partners? Do you have the same guys every week? And do they stay the whole time and do assistance work with you? Or do they bench and peace out? Like, okay, what can you tell us about your training?
Training partners are very important to me because you have to have somebody that's very positive
Yep.
and always willing to learn.
Totally.
And don't question everything you do, and know that the science is there behind what you all are doing.
Right.
And I always hate the ones that question you 500 questions about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Jesus. Yeah.
When we put the time in, like you, 20 some years, and me 17 years, and the thing about it is like, me and Mark Holbrook started back 10 or 12 years ago. It was just like we were cut from the same cloth, dude. We got in the gym, and it's just like he knew what I was thinking. I knew what he was thinking. And we trained twice as hard back then and got less results, But now we've gotten smarter. We've learned how to work out and be productive in less time and less effort. So, by getting older, we've learned more about the industry and about what we need to do and accomplish, and we're actually stronger with it. So, you've definitely got to have those positive people around you in an environment that you feel like you can do anything in, and that's where you create the best you.
Yeah. I always say that, I require like-minded people that share the same passion, and
Absolutely.
my guys, we don't miss workouts unless you're dead, in jail, or in the hospital, or have COVID. Otherwise you're there. I always say that. That's what I try to preach, man. I need you there, because it's not a one-man show. I need a team, a crew, a three-man handoff, board holder, and I need people that are serious.
Absolutely.
It's those type of people are not lining up at the door at the gym to do this. So my guys are very important to me. So, I know they are too.
And that's what Bill was talking the same thing. Me and Bill was talking about it. He's like, Doug, I can't. These guys, I try to help them and stuff, but I can't keep 3 here when I need them the most to have a good lift. And I know that feeling. It's hard when you're lifting the kind of weight that we do. You've got to have your team.
That's right.
And your team is as much important as anything. It's as important as the lift that you're doing.
Very true.
I've just been blessed to have the best in the world, man. I can't tell you enough how important these 3 guys are, Mark and Richie and Andrew. Dude, out of 6 1,100-pound benchers, even Rich Putnam posted it last night thanking them, but out of 6 1,100-pound benchers in the world, they have spotted 3 of them.
Wow.
And that's how important. Rich Putnam just benched 1107 this weekend.
Saw that.
That's awesome.
And man, it was picture perfect. They just went out. He went boom, boom. It was just like a machine.
Yep.
And that just makes me as proud of them as it does him. And
it's a huge accomplishment.
Because a lot of times, as well as I do, the spotters don't get the props that they need.
That's true.
Because we're the ones doing the work. So everybody thinks that we're the ones that does it all. But, just like you said, if we ain't got them, we can't do what we do.
That's right.
And it's just amazing that I ended up getting the best that you could ever get. And I told Tiny and all of them out there, I was like, y'all might have spotters, but y'all ain't got my spotters. These dudes right here, it's just like they know what you're thinking before you ever do it.
That's right.
That's awesome.
And I know it's going to take us big places in the near future, and I feel it. And, I was picking at Jimmy the other day, just picking at him. I was like, don't get used to getting them checks, And so,
I love it.
But, I'm 260. I weighed in at 270 out there, and I feel comfortable at this weight. Bill Gillespie, he's been preaching that. He was like, I sure would love to see you at 308.
That's my next question.
Can you get up there? I'm like, dude, you don't realize this is my comfortable weight. This is where I mentally and physically feel comfortable at. And I feel like I can accomplish just as much right here mentally as I would at 308, not feeling healthy, and I'm all about, I want to feel healthy as much as, I want to look and feel healthy just like you. Hell, you still look as good as you did 15 years ago. 20 years ago.
Yeah, and that 1,100 really speaks for itself. You don't have to be 350 pounds to do an 1,100 bench,
No, you just have to have the willpower and the mindset,
that's
and that's what I believe it's more important than anything is, your mind can move anything it wants to if you put your mind to it. And that's what I preach to these kids in the gym, man. And I've got these kids I've been training and trying to get them understanding that, everything's not free. Everything's not handed to you, and it's not easy, And the first thing I do is I take them over to the 420-pound tire, and I was like, flip this. They're like, I can't flip that. I'm like, you just told your body that you cannot flip that. I'm like, come here. I said, listen. I said, there's nothing in this world that you cannot accomplish if you set your mind to it. And I said, that's 9 out of 10 parts of the whole process is putting your mind to it and having the willpower to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I make them go back over there and they'll flip the tire because they set their mind right. Right. And I believe that solely because we're living proof of our weight and what we do and what we've accomplished. We've moved mountains with what we are.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
But it's a beautiful thing, and I love watching, especially kids, young teenagers, and watching them become men in the gym, and seeing them overcome obstacles that they normally wouldn't overcome. I've got one kid, Reed. He's a pretty awesome kid. He just turned 16. He had a problem at the nationals, and he came up to me, and he'd pulled his rhomboid and knotted up on him. He was like, "Dude, I don't think I can pull." He's like, "I don't think I can pull. I think I'm done." I'm like, "Reed." I was like, "Man, you're only done because you said in your mind you're done." I was like, "Listen," I said, I showed him Jeff Guller was sitting there with he's 82, and had an ice pack on his knee. I said, "Do you see this guy right here?" I said, "Show him your knee, Reed." I mean, Jeff, and he showed him his knee, and it's all swelled up like a big old basketball. I said, "What are you fixing to do?" He's like, "I'm going to go deadlift." I said, "Exactly." I said, "This man's 82-year-old, got a swollen up knee like a basketball, and he's still going to go out there and deadlift." I said, "You need to suck it up and get back there and get warmed up." "Okay, yes, sir." He goes out there and pulls 20 pounds more than he's ever pulled before in his life. He's 16-year-old. He don't weigh much. He pulled 336 or something.
Damn.
And this kid turned around, tears in his eyes. He was just proud. He was just proud that he had overcome an obstacle that he thought was in his way. And I had to prove to him that he had enough willpower to go out there and accomplish something.
Like a mental block.
And
makes it even more special almost when you have to.
And that's that's what we're supposed to be about, is pushing these kids to see what they are capable of.
I agree.
And showing them, right?
Yes, I mean, man, it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know that's what I'm designed for, and I'm a very religious man, and I give I want to give God the glory every time I do something. You'll see me come up off the platform, and that's the first thing I'm doing is pointing up, because without him I couldn't do what I do, and everybody that's around you, and even your people, that just allows them to see the goodness in you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And if you set a good standard, then that's what's going to be around you. And you set bad standards, and that's what's going to be around you. So you set positive influences, and then that's what's going to always be around you.
Absolutely. I love it.
On that note, Doug, I'm sorry for saying the F word a few times in the past few days.
Oh,
I
do it. I do it too.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I do it too. I'm the same way. We're all human.
Okay. All right, next question.
But no, okay. Love that. Let's see here. Do you use bench bands in your training at all?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fundamental, especially during warm-ups, especially on raw day. And a lot of, especially the guys and the kids that surround me, if you'll put bands on them and at least go up to 65% of your raw bench and then pop those things off, then you really get a lot of pop off the bottom when you're coming out of the hole.
True.
And I believe resistance has its place in everything, because it really helps those muscles fire off and allows you to really push through a hard spot or something.
Right.
And teaches you how to really get that back engaged and those triceps to push through to get you to the full extent of your push.
Okay.
You can take guys that's 315-pound benchers, put bands on them up to 255 or 245, pull the bands off, and usually they'll smoke 315.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a help. It helps them with their mental blocks, like you were just talking about, because they're like, "Dang, that felt easy." Well, in your mind, you just thought it felt hard, and then you took the bands off, and then it felt really easy. So the next time you're going to go up and weigh 5 pounds.
Right.
So I really believe it, and I also use the bamboo bar, the earthquake bar.
Right.
We use it a lot, and I think it's detrimental to what we do as far as benchers, as far as stability work,
Right.
and being able to hold that bar in your hands and getting stable and settled.
Are you using kettlebells on that?
Yes, absolutely.
How much weight are you putting on that bamboo bar?
Usually we'll go up to about 50 pounds, 60 pounds, somewhere around that area, and really just work the weight more than putting a whole lot of weight on there. I would rather have a medium weight on there and just make people really work it and really get stable and work their stabilizer.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
I wanted to jump in on there real quick. Sorry.
what about chains? Do you also use chains in your training, or do you stick mostly to the bands as far as your resistance?
Used to chains was a thing, especially back in Louis' day. You know, they was always pressing on chains and reverse bands and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of got away from the chain ordeal and reverse bands because I don't find it efficient for what we do as far as lifters anymore. Uh, there's other things that we can do as far as assistant work that provides the same amount of as doing chains or reverse bands.
Right.
And reverse bands almost gives you a sense of I don't know what you call it, but it just don't it don't allow the weight to be on you. So I feel like if you've got you do better with the full amount of weight on you or more weight on you than you would with that. It's a false sense of
Security.
weight,
Yeah.
you know, and I just got away from it because I just don't feel like it's part of what we need. But the bands I definitely feel like are the great asset as far as training.
Right.
With squats, deadlifts, and a bench. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
it helps you in the hole. It helps you get out of the hole when deadlifts, and same as with bench, it helps you get out of the hole a whole lot better. So
Sure does.
I preach on them all day long.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Do you squat and deadlift? And if so, do you go very heavy with those, or do you just stick to lighter weight and higher reps? Or what do you do?
On squats, we go moderate weight. Some of my guys they'll go heavy. Brandon he likes going heavy, and I'll help him and assist him. But what we do is a lot of times we've been working with sets, high volume sets, and really working on depth more than anything
Right.
because I believe depth is where it's at, and a lot of guys lose that perception of depth, and they want to stay in their little groove. And I'd rather cut down the weight and get lower to the floor and work in the holes that most people don't want to get into. You know, I really believe in box squats. I really believe they're beneficial, especially in the squat, and especially driving out of the hole. Uh, those are detrimental to me as far as getting a squat up because it just gets you in the hole and have to make you come off of nothing to something and getting everything to fire off at once. You know, box squats every other week, and then high volume like once every 4 weeks, and then we'll work our way up into a little bit heavier weight. But I stay moderate as far as because of especially because of my work, my concrete work. It really takes a toll on my lower back, and I have to really watch it because it's. I used to be a good squatter, a big squatter, and a big deadlifter. You know, I squatted and deadlifted in the sevens, and it just got so painful at night for me, and I have to take a week off because it hurt my back so bad that I was great at the bench, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to focus on what I'm great at, and let these be just attributes to what I do.
Right.
And my deadlifts, I do a heavy deadlift once a month. The rest of the time, I'm doing leg work, other accessory work. But I really believe in what Louis said is preaching on. You know, he didn't let his guys deadlift maybe once every 6 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. I know you know more than I do, Ryan, but I know he was adamant about keeping them from getting on the platform and just doing a straight deadlift. You know,
Right.
you done everything else but a straight deadlift. But and on my deadlifts, like 1 month if I'm deadlifting, I'll go sumo, and then the next month I'll go conventional. And so I keep it switched up so that you're training different muscle groups
Absolutely.
and keeping everything strong. And
Yeah.
I believe a lot of people get away from that, especially deadlifters. They find what they're really, really good at and they stick with it all the time. When I believe that, you know, if you're a sumo deadlifter, you need to be pulling conventional at least half that amount of time because all you're doing is training more muscles in your legs and back and core strength to make your sumo even better.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
And people get so caught up with working on what their best qualities are in the gym, and they don't find, you know, their weaknesses and work. I try to find my weaknesses, and that's where I tend to stay at because that's what makes you or breaks you. You know, I told Duncan Hudlin one time he didn't realize it, but I said, Duncan, I said, you do abs? He said, no. I said, do you realize that if you do abs and abs is 5% of your bench? I said, what's 5% of 1,000 pounds? And he's like, man, you got a point. I was like, yeah. I said, do you do calf work? No, I don't do calf work. Well, if calf work was 3% of your bench
It's a huge amount.
of 1,000
Yeah.
pounds. Yeah. And that's what they don't
No.
realize. You know, your whole body works for the squat, the deadlift, and the bench. And if you're not working at all, then you're losing. It's just like having a car and having something that's not perfect in it and going to the racetrack and going to race. You know, if that car is not perfectly in tune, it's not going to be at its best. And I really believe that, you know, training every part of that body, whether it be abs, lower back, reverse hypers,
Mm-hmm.
calf muscles, it all plays a toll in what we do as far as lifters.
Yeah, I always tell people, you know, the bench press isn't just an upper body movement; it's a total body movement.
It's a total
Yeah.
body movement. Exactly.
It's killing me. Sorry. Okay, I like it. I like it. Let's see here. Sorry. Let's see here. What are some of your favorite assistance exercises for bench? Like your favorite shoulders, and especially like your favorite triceps. What are some of your favorite
My
accessories?
number one go to, and I'm sure Ryan is the same thing, but is floor presses.
I love them.
Love them. Yeah.
Floor presses, I think, is detrimental to a bench because you're coming from a stop in the floor and you're powering off through that weakness. And I think it is my number one go to for a bench press because you know it it just does so much for where you're weak at.
Yeah.
And uh, and therefore, you know, we do them a lot and heavy. You know, heavy is good. You know, if you're not used to them, best thing to do is stay moderate and work yourself up to them to where you're really good and solid. Because you got a lot of guys that'll get in there and get too much weight, ended up cranking their shoulder because they dumping on their backhand. You know,
Right.
and I've seen so many guys grab the 120s or 150s and get down there on the floor, and there they are with a weight laid back in their arm, hyperextended.
Ooh.
But you know that, and using the earthquake bar, and I try to do a lot of stuff that works on my stabilizers more than anything,
Right.
because when you get into the weight that we do, it's just your stabilizers are number one,
Yes, sir.
and they have to hold that weight.
Right.
And you know, I do a lot of lat work, inner lat work. Just I enter back, and I try to dissect it just like anything. I'm thinking in my mind, you know, what makes that bench great, and so I go through the whole body in my mind and say, okay, inner back, lower lats, rear delts, front delts, triceps. You know, I'm going through that whole process in my mind, and that's where we start dissecting, and then we find something that really powers through that movement to make it the best that we can make it. But ultimately, just like Bill Gillespie goes back and says, you know, the bench press makes the bench press better. So the more you move the
That's
weight
true.
on the bench press, the more you're going to be better at it. And so even if you have a light day and a heavy day, and then you have a shirt day, you know, there's people that could do 3 days a week on bench and be great at it. And then there's some people that only do 1 day a week and be great
That's
at
true.
it. Me, I prefer to have a raw day to increase my raw strength and have a shirt day to increase my shirt strength. And because your raw day is going to be beneficial to your shirt anyway. So, you know, your shirt, all you're doing is just working the movement of that bar and learning that shirt, when your raw day is actually the one that's really doing all the work for you to do on that shirt day. And, you know, I'm a 605 raw bencher. I did it at a gym and you know, 575 at a meet. And so, you know,
It's huge.
I've held my own.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and done good with it. But therefore, I got to the point where every time I started benching heavy on raw bench, I'd slightly tear a pec or have a bicep
Oh
tear,
yeah.
or you know, ever turn around and here you got a shoulder injury because you're raw benching. And
Yep.
I'm like, man, here I am, you know, 46, 45, you know, at the age 45, and I was like, man, I can't do this like this because I get a really bad pec tear, just like we've had before, and you've had in the
I've had.
past. I've seen. Then we're done for a while,
Yeah.
you know, and then it takes away from the whole thing that you're trying to
Exactly.
accomplish. So I was like, man, you know, here I am. If I'm going to compete at this sport and I'm going to do it well, I'm going to put equipment on and I'm going to do what I do, you know, and thank God I hadn't got, you know, hurt or injured during the shirt, but I love it. it's what I'm good at, and that's what I'll stick to, you
Right.
know. And I'm done with the raw days as far as competing.
Yeah.
But in a gym, you know, I'll do reps with 500 because I know that's my feel good range, you
Right.
know. Just like Mark Holbrook, you know, he finally worked his way back up. Last week he done a set of 5 on raw bench with 500, and heck, I think he had 6 or 7 left in him, you know.
Jesus.
And he's just a beast, man. And he's going to be a 600-pound raw bencher before the summer's over. I really feel that way.
That's awesome.
But it's just one of those things you got to pick your poison and stick with it. But you know, I knew that I was getting at the age I just didn't want to tear nothing no more. You know, and I'm just thankful now that I've not tore anything else. But I tear less when I'm in that shirt,
Yes,
so
sir.
I know that I feel comfortable that I'm not going to hurt anything or injure anything. So I'll be out of what I love to do. So I'm gonna stick with what I know.
I remember Louis stating that the floor press was when people's elbows are on the floor in that particular lift, it was a universal sticky point for everyone. So it's
Absolutely.
phenomenal. We do them close grip. We do them with chains. We do them, you know, with a wide grip. We love floor press where we live. So
It's even better if you can find a small pad and lay on it and allow your elbows to go just a little bit farther.
oh, okay.
So you're changing that sticking point even 1.5 to 2 inches more than what you normally
I
would.
gotcha.
So
Okay.
you lay the flat pad down there and get on the flat pad, and then you've got another 1.5 inches more descent.
Whoa. Okay.
That's a good idea. I'm trying to think if we have.
I saw some foam at the hardware store, so
Yeah.
I just got
Yeah.
my mind. The light just went over it. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
All right.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, I know we've kind of touched on this already, but how often do you train in your shirt versus training raw? You know that we've
Yeah,
talked about
just like
that,
I said before, just one day a
it's one
week,
day a week.
Okay.
and yeah, just one day a week, and 1 day raw.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just think that's beneficial for me because I'm keeping my raw strength up at the same time I'm keeping my shirt bench up. Now I alternate, like I told Ryan earlier, I alternate my heavy days on my shirt bench every other week, so that way I'm giving my body a really a chance to reheal and my joints and stuff to repair, because you just can't pound 1,000 pound week after week after week
No.
and not expect something to say, hey, I don't want no more of
Yeah.
this.
Exactly
Absolutely.
right.
And so
Okay.
All right. So, what are some of the last goals that you had set that you have achieved recently?
well, I guess it's the 1,100. I wanted to be the all-time 275 world record holder, and I chased that. I really, to be honest with you, back in when I first started shirt benching, Rob Leuno had it,
Yep.
Yep.
and I think it was 907 or 903 or something, and I chased it and chased it and chased it, and that. I looked at Rob and I was like, man, I want that record. I want that record, and you know, I was trying really hard to get there, and it was just like I had sticking points, and every time I turned around, it's just I couldn't get past 805, and so I got aggravated at it and just stepped away from powerlifting for a while, and it's just like, man, you know, it just you get to that point. It's just like when I was raw benching back in the day, I got to 405, and I'm sure you had those sticking points too,
Yes, I
Rob.
did.
But I mean, Ryan, but we I got to 405, and I seen those 8 plates on there. I'm like, God, that's a lot of weight. And man, it took me a year to get past 405. I was like, what in the world? And then it's like when I passed 405, everything just went up, just quick, just bam, bam, bam.
It did.
And I just kept getting faster and faster and faster. I'm like, what happened? Because after it seemed like it was a mental block to see those 8 plates on that bar. It
That's
just
right.
freaked me out or something.
Right.
And then once I got past it and seen I could do it, man, I went to shot to 500. It was like, man, here I am at 500 for a single, and it was great. Well, the next thing you know, I'm repping 500. And it's just like, I couldn't believe it, because that 405 was my greatest sticking point, just like 805 in my shirt. But it was so frustrating at 805 because I'd try so hard. I'm like, what am I doing wrong that I can't get right? And I realized it just wasn't my time.
Right.
And it seemed like the older I got, the smarter I got. And I started learning more about equipment and how to train. And, it wasn't just the strength. It was just the strength I had back then, and I didn't have the knowledge. And now I have the knowledge and the strength. And I finally got to put all of it together and make something happen. But it was a fight, and finally got into this for real just a year ago.
Oh, wow.
It's just
Oh,
it's
wow.
just been a year.
Jeez.
In March, it was a year ago, and got in this thing and put it on, and I got it out of the box. I even text Rob. I was like, just got your shirt, got it out of the box, and ended up doing 905 first day, and
Damn.
and it's just like I found my home.
Yeah.
I found my home,
Yep.
and
For sure.
the next week I went in there. I was like, heck, I'm on. I was one of these that ride the bull kind of guys. And you're gonna have to take that now and use it. It's ride the bull.
Absolutely. I like that.
But,
I
I like that
was going to say
terminology.
that. I'm going to say that a lot now.
But so the next week I went and I did 905, and then I said, heck with it, go for 1,000, put 1,000 on there, and I smoked 1,000. I couldn't believe it, and I was like, okay,
Okay.
I'm back at it now.
Awesome.
So from then on, I just kept adding weight, and my speed was always there. It seemed like everything worked out, and now I'm getting into the range of weights that I'm starting to slow down a little bit, but I'm still learning. And as long as I keep my groove and learn my groove even more, I mean, I'm still learning. And but it's just perfecting that groove and perfecting that speed. And William Lee come up to me. Me and you was talking about William today. He said he knew you really well.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to William today, and he was like, man, he's like, I have never seen nobody move that bar as fast as you on descent. That just blows my mind.
Mine
He's like,
too.
you're like he's like, you're suicidal. You're crazy. I'm like, no,
Suicidal.
it's just, I don't give a dang. I'm just one of those guys that just, I've got it in my hands, and I'm going to let gravity do its job. And then when it's my time, I'm going to do my job.
Exactly.
And it's called a bench press for a reason. It ain't called pull. It's called bench. We bench it off our chest. So I let gravity do his job, and then when he gets done, I do my job.
Awesome.
Okay.
Like that.
Can you excuse me for a minute, Doug?
Yeah.
Here's
You
restroom.
gotta go pee, don't you?
Sorry.
Can I keep asking
Yeah,
questions?
you're all right.
Or
Go fast.
okay, I gotta go get eye drops really soon. My eyes are driving me nuts. Like I wear contacts and they're all dry, so I might have to. I was trying to make it through our questions, but I'm like my eyes are tweaking out. And he's got this fan right here too, because he gets really hot down here.
Oh yeah,
And
so it
it's
dries
blowing.
you
I
out
keep
even
trying
more.
to like switch, like turn it, but he keeps turning it back, and I'm like, well, my eyes aren't gonna make it. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep asking.
Yeah.
He won't take long at all. Let's see here. So, prepping for your competitions, what does your diet look like usually? Is it pretty strict? Or are you pretty chill? Or what? How?
No, I'm pretty chill. I just try to, if I'm going to a competition, I try to check my weight a couple of weeks prior to see where I'm at and how I'm, retaining my weight and stuff. And I try to keep it within 265 to 275.
Okay.
And I like going into these meets weighing at least, 265 to 270. That's my ideal weight. And
Like that.
it's just where I go, and I eat accordingly. So, if I'm 275, I'm gonna cut back and start watching what I eat a little bit better. But usually I just, we still try to eat good meals and stuff, and eat the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't, I'm not really
Restrict too
strict on it.
much.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of how he is. Doesn't not too much restriction. Let's see here. What is the most amount of weight you've ever had in your hands and moved, regardless of whether it was boards or full range? Like, just what's the most amount of weight that's ever been in your hands?
I'd have to say 1,100 pounds.
1,100 pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but not for long.
Not for
Not
long.
for
Not
long.
for long. That number's going up, huh?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. 1,100 is insane. Absolutely amazing. Let's see here. Have you suffered from any injuries throughout your powerlifting career? And if so, how did you recover from those injuries?
Yeah, I continually have lower back problems every day, but I deal with them and do the best I can with them, by stretching and
Right.
doing what I can because of really not the powerlifting, but from the concrete work that I do,
Right.
staying bent over all day and
Yeah.
pushing wheelbars and raking concrete and all that stuff that I do. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, you can either sit there and say, well, I can't do nothing because my back hurts, or you can move on and just overcome it and keep going. And that's what I do. You can't let stuff restrict you if you want to get on with life.
Right.
Right.
And other than that, I've got the same thing that Ryan's got in his neck. I've got the same deal going on now.
Oh,
It's
shit.
the numbness in the fingers of sleeping, and it comes down through your shoulder and aches in your shoulder and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Shit.
But I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's from benching and having the pressure on your neck and having the weight to push.
That's
and
right,
it
Doug.
always happens
Yeah.
right in that one spot. And it's just, you can't never get comfortable, no matter how you turn your head or neck or nothing. It feels like you need to pop it, and you just can't get it popped to make it feel any better.
Yeah,
And,
I have a traction device I use, but I got my cortisone shot today, so I'm hoping to see some results from that. Optimistic, we'll see what happens, how it pans out.
Well, definitely keep me updated on it, because it might be my next step with
Right.
this neck thing, because it's definitely it's one of those things that, especially after a big meet, you have to deal with pretty bad for a couple of weeks, and then it finally lightens up enough to where you can sleep at night, and you ain't sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night because you can't lay on your shoulder and you can't lay on your back. You can't do this. It's just aggravating.
Well, I was on the impression that they were going to use a big long needle and that. It felt like they used like a little insulin needle. And I know that's not what they used, but when they numbed me up, Doug, it was very simple. Like I'd go in tomorrow and do another one. It was in the neck. It was that easy.
Well, I'm glad you told me
Yeah.
that, because if you had said a big long
No.
needle, I wasn't
No,
going.
no
I was
thanks,
done.
right?
It was very, very easy. And I was really stressed out too. So but
I guarantee it.
I'm just glad it's done.
So since you just competed this last weekend, is it flared up pretty bad this week?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Right now, it feels like if somebody could pick me up by my head and just stretch me out, I'd feel so much better.
Do you have one of those contraptions that you
I
use?
do.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you do
those-
that. Okay.
I
Yes.
use that often too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got
to.
This getting old thing sucks, Doug. Jesus, we didn't have
Man,
this
I'm
problem in
telling you, dude.
27.
No.
I'm telling you. And not counting, I went out there the day before I went out to Texas. My stepdad had some surgery, and I was pushing him into the house with a wheelchair up a ramp and sprained my ankle.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
shit.
kidding me.
And I'm like, no, I didn't just do this.
Oh,
So
no.
the whole time walking through the airport, we had to be on the last hub
Of
of
course
the
you
Yeah.
airport.
did, right?
So
Yeah, of
I had
course.
to walk plumb through that
Oh.
daggum thing to get there, and I'm aching and my ankle swole up. So I get to Texas and I'm pulling my shoe off and my ankle looks like a basketball, and I'm like, man, come on. And so we get to the meet on Saturday, and my legs kind of swelled up, and I'm sucking it up, and do the best I can with it. Well, needless to say, I'm changing shoes and stuff, and I've got a hangnail on my left foot. I'm like, oh man, come
Damn.
on.
One thing, it's
I'm
another.
like,
When it rains, it
Catch
pours.
a
I
freaking
can't
break.
win today.
No.
So,
Damn
but
it.
in those times you just suck it up and keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
You're there and you're dedicated. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Jeez, though. Damn. Bad luck. All right. Outside of the gym, I know you kind of touched on this a little bit too, but outside of the gym, what do you like to do? What are some of your hobbies?
Well, as you can see above
I
me,
know we
you can see
got one of
Yep.
them right there.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But hunting and fishing is my go-to. That's my time away from the world, and
yep.
to be able to just meditate for a minute
Yeah.
and be able to just hear silence and not hear
Exactly.
nothing or think about nothing and just
Be out with
rest. It
nature.
ain't about the hunting the deer or the animal. It's just about getting away from all of it and just for a minute, just to let it all sit down for a second.
Being one with nature.
And I swear to you, that has been my best reliance when it comes to powerlifting, just to be able to say, they call me and say, "You coming to the gym today?" I'm like, "Dude, it's deer season. I'm taking time for myself."
Yep.
Yep.
You know,
Okay,
this is my
good.
meditation
Yep.
time for me to reset.
Therapeutical.
And a lot of people don't, you know, they don't take time in the world to just to reset.
That's
And
true.
we get so tied up in what we're doing every day. We just, you know, we all need a time to just to sit down a second and say, hey, you know, we just need to just to reset for a
I
minute.
agree with you, Doug.
Absolutely.
And I think it's detrimental to anything, life or powerlifting or anything.
Absolutely. Very, very important to be able to take that time for yourself and do the other things you love. There's got to be a balance, you know.
Actually, how many more
Yes.
questions do you have? Because we got chat box questions to
I
get to also.
No, we got a few. Let's see. Oh, shoot, we have more than I thought.
And I don't want to keep Doug up too late.
Damn
So
it. We have, let's see, one.
I want to get to our guests,
We have
our
a few. You mean our
streamers. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12.
Well, just pick two.
Pick two. Yeah.
Pick two?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't, Doug,
Yeah.
it's late.
Shit.
Doug's 3
Okay.
hours ahead, man. He's
Oh,
got to work. So
gosh. Sorry, we should
Doug,
crap.
you're more than
Okay.
welcome to come on another time.
We
Anytime.
can do a
Fine.
part 2 because
Yeah.
there's 12 more.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, for one, how does it feel to be number 1 in the world?
Man, it's kind of surreal
It is.
still. I mean, it really is. It's just something I've worked hard for, and I finally accomplished what I set out to do, and people come up to me and talk to me about it and everything, and in my mind, I'm not first place. I'm that dude that accomplished what I set out to do,
Right.
and I'll never look at that as a big thing to me because I'm just that humble. I don't see that. You know, the humility is more important to me than anything,
Right.
and I appreciate it, but I'm just glad that I finally got to the top of my pinnacle for now,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and that's just another step to get me to the next step.
Absolutely.
So it's just a work in progress.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Pick one more.
Just one. Can I do like a couple? And then we'll just try to like.
Just one more good one.
Oh,
And then we'll remember which
geez.
ones and we'll save them for next
There's
time.
a lot of important ones. I didn't realize how many. Poop. Let's see. Well, let's do 2 more because I know there were some that. So let's do what lifters have influenced you through your life or people?
Really, like I was telling you, the Richard Wilfong, he was one of the first and foremost when I was 12. He was the one that got me up off the couch and said, hey, you need to do this. And instilled in me something that I never had anybody as an individual want to take the time out of their day to make me feel like somebody and help me create something in me that I didn't even know I had. And that's why I like to carry it on. And then, you know, you got people like Tim Higgins, Mark Holbrook, all these guys that's been stepping stones for me to get to where I'm at. And first and foremost, Ryan. I mean,
Thank
Ryan
you.
was the one I watched when I was young and just getting into the industry. And I'm looking at Ryan on YouTube videos and stuff, and I'm like, dude, that is the dude that I want to be, you know. And that's why I respect you so much, Ryan,
Thank you.
because of, you know, you went through the trials and errors and the hardships to get to where
I
you're
did.
at, and I'm proud of what you've accomplished, you know, till to this day, and you're highly respected in the powerlifting industry, and we've always looked at you as the man to go to as far as the bench, and you always be remembered that guy, you know, and that's why I highly respect you, and I always watched your videos on training and how you set up on the bench and dissected it, and it's just an honor for me to be here, to be able to sit here and sit down and have a good conversation with you, and I'm very thankful.
I appreciate that, Doug. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Is there a part 2 to that question, kind of?
Well, I mean, it's pretty similar to that one. When you first started out, what lifters did you look up to? So those ones like influenced you throughout your life, but when you first started, who were some of the lifters that you really looked up to? You know.
Well, I kind of covered that talking
I was gonna
about
say, I
Richard
know.
Wilfong,
Okay.
Kind of like
Okay.
sum that up. So I was
Scratch that
I
one.
was gonna skip. I know I was going
I'm
to,
sorry.
and then you.
Pick one more, then we'll go to
Pointed it
the
out.
over the chat box,
Gosh,
and I'm gonna whip through these because I'm gonna speak
it just
fast.
went by. He's got so much great
Information, stories.
and great stories. Like it went by so fast. I can't believe how late it is. Usually we get
Well, one more. Come on.
Okay, I got the okay. That's a lot of pressure. Let's see. Sorry.
How about the one at the end there? That's
Do
a
you
good
have any? Let's do these two. Do you have any future goals that you have set, and where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, I'm wanting to get the all-time world record. That's what I'm after. I'm set on it,
Oh, yeah.
and you know, I thought it might be out of my reach, but in my mind, it's
No.
not. There's nothing out of my reach. I mean, 1100 was out of my reach, and here I am. But
Here it is.
you know, if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it and have it.
Absolutely.
But I've got to where I'm at now, so that's where I'm headed. So,
Absolutely, Doug.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. And then what advice can you offer new lifters that are just starting out?
I just tell them to stay humble in the sport and always train hard first. You know, the working hard in the gym will always pay off,
Absolutely.
and keeping a positive attitude about it. You know, and if you always stay always forward is what I always tell these guys. It's a military motto. We said always forward. And if you always put yourself in that position, you will always move forward, whether it's 5 pounds, 10 pounds, it don't matter. And I told these guys, I was like, listen, if we're walking to the top of this mountain and we're all going to the top of it, I might get there faster than you, but if you take one foot in front of the other, you'll get there just the same as me, but it might take you twice the amount of time.
Right.
So, you know, if we all put our foot in front of each other, we'll all get there.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to put forth the effort to get
That's
there.
right.
Absolutely.
And that's what it all boils down to. So many people want it overnight, and it don't happen. I mean, it took Ryan how many years? It took
14
me
years.
7.
It took me 14 years to become a world champion, all-time record holder.
It took me 17.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's crazy.
you know, they've got to realize that this stuff don't happen within a year.
No.
If it does, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if it takes time, anything worth having is worth putting in the effort and working hard for.
Okay, Doug, we're gonna go to the chat box now.
All
I'm gonna
right.
whip through these pretty quick.
We missed
There are
out.
a few questions for you here, but I'm just gonna read real fast here. Paul Loeffler says, "Hey guys, how's it going?" Tiny Meeker posted, ready for this one. He has 2 shot glasses, and that might be your alcohol you gave him.
If we go through this pretty quick, can we go back to a couple? Because we missed some of the really fun ones. Okay.
Tiny Meeker says, hello,
Sorry.
everyone. Rich Putnam says, hello, everyone. Roger Brome says, hi, lifters. Let's see.
CJ Morgani, hey everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Great episode last week and really excited for this week's episode. Awesome guest.
Cameron Martinot says, what's up?
Stop flexing. I saw Doug hit 750 in York like an empty barbell.
Yep. That was a long time.
Yeah.
He remembers it. He remembers stuff like that. BJ Dirk, yo guys. Hey BJ. Mary Askew. Hi guys. Nice job at the baddest bencher contest, Mr. Smithy. Paul Lawfer. Hey Doug, how's it going, brother? Congratulations on your big bench at the baddest bencher show.
Appreciate it, Paul.
Cameron Martinot says, how much did he do? Doug? How much did
I did 1,052.7.
There you go, Cameron.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Paul Loeffler says, will you be at 365 Worlds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Nice.
Ashley?
Thomas MD. Hey Doug, it's Big Tommy, Jeff McVigor's buddy. Been a long time since the IPA days at York Barbell and the many other meets we ran across each other. Glad to see you're still at it. Congrats.
Awesome.
Banger Picker. Doug has forgot more than I'll ever learn, but he's passing it on still. Proud to train with him every day. Brandon.
Awesome.
Anthony Caruso, what exercises or cues do you think help you get the most stability while benching?
I'm still with the earthquake bar. I believe that is my number one go-to for stability and learning how to get your shoulders set with that weight bouncing around.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that is detrimental.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's definitely a really good one. Let's see here. Where am I at, Ryan?
I'm just
I know you're
moving
moving and I lost it.
They're talking to each other here,
Okay.
so I'm going down. But we have a lot of conversations going on within the chat box here. Right here,
Question for
Vanguard.
Big Doug. Vanguard, question for Big Doug. What kind of foods do you like for building size and strength?
Chicken and steak
Chicken and steak.
Hell yeah.
and a lot of fish.
Oh, hell yeah. Evan Monster 1, I'll be in North Carolina this July for the Grandfather Mountain Highland Games just outside of Linville. Come on out, Doug.
Yep, we should be there.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. Very cool. There you
Stop
go.
flexing as a compliment here.
Doug is such a humble and good guy. Good dude. Definitely. Okay.
Tiny Meeker says great interview.
Yep, Tiny Meeker, great interview. Tony Ellis,
Appreciate
great.
it, Tony.
Yep, we're happy to have you here, Tiny.
Yeah.
Super glad you made it. Same with you, Tony Ellis. Really glad that you're here. He says, great interview, Doug. Bonnie. So we did talk about this and she missed it, but maybe you can sum it up for her. She might have asked it before we asked this question. Sometimes that happens. Did you have any injuries? I know we
No, just my neck.
the neck
That's
issue.
all. We're
kind of
still dealing with the neck issue.
Okay, which was kind of similar to what Ryan was going
Yeah.
through, where you have the
Yeah.
tingling sensations and numbness in your.
So Bonnie has a second question, and I don't understand what she's talking about, LASIK surgery.
Oh, I think it was because I was complaining about my eyes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, never
She's
mind.
just telling me about LASIK surgery. I know. I'm just too scared to have it, Bonnie. I know. That's a whole nother issue. I'd love to have it, but I'm just kind of a weenie for that.
Last one in the
But
chat
that's
box.
why she brought that up. See, we might be able to ask a couple more.
Howard Weingarten has a question for Doug.
Just want to ask Doug, are you a foot flat or heels up kind of bencher? And congrats on the baddest bencher meet.
Well, I'm foot flat when I'm shirt benching, but I pull my heels up when I'm raw benching so that I can drive my heels even more to get more thrust
Okay.
in my raw bench.
Okay.
But I have to have the flat foot for stability when you got so much weight on
Absolutely.
Right.
you.
Yeah, I'm
You
flat
really
foot too.
need as much foot on that ground as you can so that you can get stable.
Yes, absolutely.
totally
I agree with you
makes
100%, Doug.
Absolutely. So we skipped through because we skipped a bunch of stuff there, and so we made it through pretty quick. Do you need to get going, or do you want to?
It's midnight there, Doug.
I know it's really
Yes,
late
sir.
where he's at.
Yeah,
Do you
we're
want,
good.
We could. Okay.
I appreciate your time,
Sure.
Doug. It's very
Okay.
late, and
Maybe we can do a part 2, and we
Yeah.
can finish up our.
I'd love to.
Doug,
Ryan,
anytime
just hit me
you
up.
It's
text
just-
me, tell me a Thursday, and we'll get you on.
Yeah,
No
we
questions.
we don't want to keep you up
Yeah.
any later.
I'm sorry
but
it's so long.
Great information, great stories. It went by, so I can't believe how.
We really appreciate your
late
time,
it-
Doug, and
How
and
fast it got so late, man. So definitely need to have a part 2 so we can.
appreciate
Oh,
your
yeah.
service
I
to the
love it.
country, being a military
Absolutely,
veteran there.
Absolutely.
And,
Just- we appreciate
yeah.
your time. This has been amazing. We've had a blast. I can't even believe how fast it went by.
Well,
Like I hadn't even looked at the clock. I had no idea
goes
it was
quick.
that late. It was.
let's stay in touch, Doug.
just
Text.
great talking to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching your training videos, and I'll always put your training videos on our show anytime
Yep.
you post anything. So,
We're
and I wish
watching
you all
your
the best
stuff
of
for
luck.
sure.
When is the next meet Doug is going to do?
It'll be Red Oasis in
In
Syracuse.
September?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be looking
We'll be
forward
rooting
to
for you.
that, and looking forward to watching your training videos and
I think
putting them here on
I
the
think
show.
Big Rich and Bob Merck is going to be there.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I don't know how many others is going to be there. Should be a good
Yeah.
show.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thank
your
you, Doug.
time. I know we've kept you up late. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
It's-
I enjoyed the talk.
it was so
just
much fun.
amazing. I appreciate it.
No, it was great.
And we'll keep in touch and hopefully do it again.
Okay, Doug.
Absolutely. We got to have a part 2. We got to come back and finish the
Absolutely.
questions. Yeah.
All right, Doug,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we are shutting down for the evening.
Yeah,
We'll
gotta
see
let Doug get to bed. It's
Yeah.
past midnight where he's at, so
Yeah,
we
gotta
really
eat,
appreciate.
We got to eat dinner, so.
Yeah, we're gonna get
That's
this
it.
guy some food and gotta let Doug go to bed. So, again,
All
I
right,
can't
y'all have a
thank
good
you
night.
You too,
enough.
Doug.
It's been a blast. Have a
See you,
wonderful
brother.
See everybody
night.
next week, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, Doug.
Take care.